Welcome. This is going to be lesson number 7 on quadratic functions. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about quadratic functions and some of the properties that they have. Okay, quadratic functions usually comes in this format where there's a number in front of the x squared, and we call that number a. There's a number in front of the x, and we call that b, and a number without x, and we call it c. Now, some of the properties of a quadratic function is, one of them is the graph looks like a parabola, Now, if this number right here is greater than 1, or greater than 0, then you're going to have what I like to call a smiley face, And if this number here is less than 0, or in other words, negative, you're going to have a frown. I like to associate, like, positive number means you have money in your pocket, so you have a happy face. And a negative would mean like you owe money to people, so you had some debts, and you have a frown, so you're not happy about it, Also, as you can see, there's a line, and we call that line the axis of symmetry, that it looks like it works as a mirror, because this side is a reflection of this side. So basically the axis of symmetry is like the mirror, and the equation of this line of symmetry, or the axis of symmetry, is x equals negative b over 2a. And also, if you have your notes, there was a typo, and there's supposed to be a 2 here, here, and here. So please make those corrections if it isn't already done so. But again, axis of symmetry is defined as x equals negative b over 2a. And we're going to talk more about that in a few seconds. Also, the very bottom or the very top, if the parabola is upside down, it's called the vertex. And the vertex, you can find the point of the vertex by using this formula. The vertex will be negative b over 2a, and the y-coordinate would be the answer that you get once you plug it in, negative b over 2a, into the function. And we're going to talk more about this in a second too. And the last thing about definitions would be the y-intercept. If the graph touches the y-intercept, the y-intercept will be c. Or in other words, 0, c. So let's look at some actual problems down here. Again, you have this diagram, illustrates the parts of the parabola. Here's the y-intercept, the vertex, the axis of symmetry. So let's look at an actual problem. We're going to try to graph this function, y equals negative 2x squared plus 12x minus 9. Remember that y can also be written as f of x, so this is a function of x, And basically, we're going to start out by identify our axis of symmetry. According to our definitions, the axis of symmetry equals x equals negative b over 2a. Alright, so over here, let's identify these numbers. The number in front of the x squared is a. The number in front of the x is b. The number without x is c. So when I'm using this formula here, then I'll put negative, and the b will be 12, and over 2 times a, and a in this problem has to be negative 2. Alright, So now let's calculate what we get here. This would be negative 12. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 12 divided by negative 4 equals positive 3. So that means my axis symmetry is x equals 3. Now let's do our vertex, okay? And let me put my little formulas here to the side so you kind of can see, okay, that I'm referring back to the formulas up on the paper. Okay, so basically we're going to do the vertex, and the vertex is defined as negative b over 2a, and we already found that to be 3, so we know that our first coordinate is 3. But for our second coordinate, we're going to have to calculate what is f of negative b over 2a. We just decide negative b over 2a is 3, so we need to find out what f of 3 is. Alright, so basically I'm going to copy the quadratic function, but instead of x I'm going to put the number 3, because the number 3 is going to replace the value of x. Alright, now that we have that, let's do our calculations. 3 to the second power is 9. Negative 2 times 9 is negative 18. 12 times 3 is 36. And let's bring down the 9. Now that we have that, negative 18 plus 36 is 18. Bring down the 9. 18 minus 9 is 9. So in other words, our vertex is going to be 3, 9. Okay? Alright. Then the y-intercept. Remember, the y-intercept is the c value of c. So the value of c here is negative 9. So my y-intercept is 0, negative 9. The y-intercept will always have a 0 for x and a new value for the second one here. Alright, now we're asked to determine, do we have a maximum or a minimum? Okay, if you remember, because I have a negative 2 right there, that's less than 1, that's less than 0, that means I'm going to have a frown. That means I owe money. And because I have a frown, that means it's going to look like a mountain, and this would be the maximum value for y, because let's imagine this is our coordinate. This would be the highest point that I can reach, and that means I'm going to have a maximum. If it was a smile, then you would have a minimum, but that's not the case in this problem, so we'll see that later. Okay, so let's go on to the next page, to the other half of the page. Okay, I'm going to keep this up, and I have another copy here for me, so you can see how we're going to use this information that we found to create our graph. Okay, so we're going to do in order that we wrote. We're going to use an axis symmetry, so we're going to go here to x equals 3, and we're going to draw a dashed line to represent our axis of symmetry. Alright, very good. Once we have that, now we've done that, let's do our vertex. Our vertex is 3, 9. 3, 9 would be right over here. So that's my vertex. And then my y-intercept would be 0, negative 9. So 0, negative 9. That's my other point. And remember, the axis symmetry acts like a mirror. So if I have a point on this side of the axis, I have a distance of 1, 2, 3. That means I'm going to have another point with the same distance on the other side. So 1, 2, 3. That's where my other point's going to go. Alright, Very well. For the purpose of the assignments problems, I would like to ask you to draw at least 5 points on the graph. So we already have 3. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to pick another number. Okay, and we're going to just find out the coordinate of that point. Okay, so if you notice, we have this point here, and here's the axis symmetry. So try to choose a point between this point and the axis symmetry. So let's say I pick number 1, okay, because this is x1, right? So let's say when x equals 1, what's going to be my new value? Now remember, your function is f of x equals negative 2x squared plus 12x minus 9. And let me bring this to view. Alright, so that's our function, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to find the value of y, or in other words, f of 1, or what's the value of y when x equals 1. So basically we copy the same function, but instead of x we're going to use 1 in place of x. So if you notice, I'm just replacing the 1. Alright, and this you can do it on a scratch piece of paper or anywhere. All we want is find a point on the line. Alright, so 1 square is 1, and 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. Then we have 12 times 1, which is 12. And then we have, bring down the 9. Now negative 2 plus 12 is 10. 10 minus 9 will be 1. So that means my point is going to be 1, 1. So 1, 1. And there we go. Now we have 4 points on the graph. But I want 5. Well, notice the distance between the point and the axis of symmetry. There's a distance of 2. So we're going to use the same distance on the other side to create the reflection. And there we go. We have 5 points. And now we just have to sketch the graph. So carefully try to do the best you can to connect the points so that it looks like a parabola. Alright? And that concludes example number 1. So let's try an example number 2 following the same steps that we just did. Okay? And so here we go. First of all, we're going to use this axis symmetry. Remember, you need to commit that to memory. Negative b over 2a. And remember, the number in front of the x squared is a, the number in front of the x is b, and the number without x is c. Very well. With that in mind, then we have negative b happens to be 12, and a happens to be 3. Now 2 times 3 is 6. Negative 12 divided by 6 is negative 2. Very well. So that means my axis of symmetry is going to be x equals negative 2. Now let's find our vertex. Okay, our vertex, what we're going to do for x is negative 2. But for the y here, we need to find our, do some calculations. So we're going to do f of negative 2. So basically copy the function. But instead of x, we're going to use negative 2. And make sure you put the parentheses. Alright. So now with that, negative 2 squared is 4. 4 times 3 gives you 12. And then, whoops, not equal, plus. Positive 12 times negative 2 gives you negative 24. And we bring down the 5. Now that we have that, 12 minus 24 is negative 12. Negative 12 plus 5 will be negative 7. Alright, so that means this will be negative 7. Alright, let's look at the y-intercept. Y-intercept always starts with a 0, and the second number is the letter C, which in this case it happens to be 5. Alright, the number in front of the x squared is a positive number, so that means I'm going to have a smile on my face because I have money in my pocket. So that means I'm going to have a minimum. In other words, I'm going to have a bottom, like a bottom of a valley. Okay, so that would be the minimum value. Alright, now with this information that we have over here, we're able to make our graph. So let me move this up. Okay, so you can see our graph. And let me remove this paper here. Alright, so we're going to start with the axis symmetry. The axis symmetry is -2, so we come over here and we draw our axis of symmetry. Alright, very well. Now that we have our axis of symmetry, let's go ahead and do the vertex, which is -2 down to -7. So our vertex is -2, -7. Good. Now let's do our y-intercept, which is 0, 5. So 0, 5 be right there. And because I have that, I can use the mirror image to find the other points. So now I have 3 points on the graph. Alright. And now I need to find another point. So look for the points between one of the points and the axis symmetry. So one of the points here will be -1, right? Because this is x minus 1. So basically, copy the function, which happens to be 3x squared plus 12x plus 5, right? And we chose -1, so we're going to find the function of -1. So this would be 3 to the -1 to the second power plus 12 times -1 plus 5. Now, -1 squared is 1. 1 times 3 is 3. 12 times -1 is not positive, but -12. And bring down the positive 5. 3 minus 12 is 9, -9. -9 plus 5 is -4. Very well. So that means, if I made up my table here, I found another point. When I plug it in -1, I got a 4. So that means, I'm sorry, -4. I forgot the sign. So it'll be -1, and go down 4, and there's our point right there. And because I have this point, and there's a distance of 1 from the axis symmetry, I also have this point right here. Alright, now with that, we carefully draw our graph, and here we go. There's our graph for this problem. Okay? Alright, let's go ahead and proceed to the next problem on the back side of this paper. So here we go. We have example number 3, and excuse me, I'm going to do the same thing. Axis symmetry is -b over 2a, and remember, a here happens to be the invisible one. This is your b, and this is your c. Alright, so now if I plug it in, this would be -6 and 2 times the invisible 1. So -6 divided by 2 is -3. So that means my axis symmetry is x equals -3. And now we're going to do our vertex. Our vertex will be -3, comma. We need to find the second value, which we do by doing f of -3. So let's copy and put -3 to the second power plus 6 times -3 plus 3. Alright, -3 squared is the same as -3 times -3, which happens to be positive 9. 6 times -3 is -18, and we bring down the 3. Now, 9 minus 18 is -9. -9 plus 3 is -6. So that means this guy here is -6. The y-intercept. The y-intercept is going to be 0, comma, the last number without an x, which is 3. Okay, do I have a maximum or minimum? The number in front of the x squared is a positive 1. So that means I have money in my pocket, so I have a smile on my face. So it's a maximum. Okay, and let me just check something here. Yeah, it's fine. Alright. I thought I forgot to circle the answer for the previous example. That's what I was checking. Alright, let's continue doing the graph. Okay, now I have all the information that I need. Start with the axis of symmetry. We want to draw our axis of symmetry at x equals -3. Alright. And we're going to do a vertex, which is -3 and -6. So there's our vertex right there. Alright. And we have our y-intercept, which is 0, 3. So that means I have a distance of 3 from the x-axis. The axis of symmetry. So distance of 3. So reflect that on the other side. There's another point there. Alright, now let's find another point on the line. So let's pick a number between these two. So let's say I'll pick -2. And let's see, do we have any space here? Okay, let's try it over here. I have f of x equals x squared plus 6x plus 3. And we're going to use, we said -2, right? Because we're going to make a table and we're looking for the y value when x equals -2. So it's -2. So we're going to be -2 squared plus 6 times -2 plus 3. So this would be -2 squared is positive 4. 6 times -2 is -12. And bring down the 3. 4 minus 12 is -8. -8 plus 3 is -5. So that means this will be -5. Alright, so that means our point is -2, -5. And if you use the axis symmetry, I'm going to have another point right there. And now I can connect the points. So basically, my graph is going to look somewhat like this. Alright, let's go on to the next example. And this will be our final example. In fact, this is example number 4, not 3. Apologize for the typo there. Alright, the only thing different about this one is that we have a fraction, but don't worry, we're going to be okay. Alright, again, identify. This is our A, this is our B, and this is our C. Alright, line of symmetry says this is -b over 2a. So negative, the b happens to be -2, and a is 2 times 1/2. Now 2 times 1 is 2, divided by 2 is a 1, and negative divided by negative is a positive. So this is a 2. Let me repeat that, okay? I'm doing 2 times 1 is 2, divided by 2 gives me a 1. Negative times the negative is a positive 2. 2 divided by 1 is 2. So that means my axis symmetry is x equals 2. Alright. So now I need to find my vertex. Okay. So that means I'm going to do f of 2. So I'm going to copy 1/2, open parenthesis, 2 in sign, minus 2 times 2 plus 5. Alright, let's try this. 2 squared is 4. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is a 2. Let me say that again. 2 to the second power is 4. So I got this to be 4. 4 times 1 is 4. Divided by 2 is 2. And the next one is negative 2 times 2 is 4. And bring down the 5. Final answer is 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 5 is 3. So that means my vertex is going to be at the point 2, 3. Let's look at the y-intercept. Y-intercept is 0 and the letter C, which in this case happens to be 5. Alright, the number in front of the x squared is greater than 0. So that means I have money in my bank or my pocket. So that means I'm a happy guy. And I'm going to have a minimum. Alright, with this information now I'm ready to graph. So I'm going to start x equals 2 for my axis of symmetry. Very well. And then I'm going to use my vertex, which is 2, 3. So that's 2, 3 right there. So done with those. My y-intercept is going to be 0, 5. 0, 5 is right there. Alright. And that means that I have another point right there. And let's say if I use number 3 now. Okay, so I'm going to use x and y. I'm going to look for what's the value of y. Sorry, I'm doing some things here and you cannot see. Basically, I did the axis of symmetry right there. I plotted the vertex. I also plotted the y-intercept. And because there's a distance of 2 from the axis of symmetry, I did the next point. Now I'm going to look for the value of y when x equals 3. So let's say I use the space again here. So I have f of x equals 1/2 x squared minus 2x plus 5. Okay, now if I use the 3 here, 3 is not a multiple of 2, so that means I'm going to have a not a nice number. So whenever you have a fraction like this, try to pick a number for x that is a multiple of 2. So for example, you could pick number 2 or number 4. Okay, so let's say we pick number 4. Okay, well, number 4, actually we have number 4. Sorry. Let's say we pick number. Let's say we pick number 6 then. Alright, this is a multiple of 2. The reason why I cannot pick number 4 because number 4 is already there. I'm going to pick number 2 because number 2 is already there. So we're going to pick number 6, which should be like this guy right here. Okay. Alright, so let's pick number 6. So it'll be 1/2. And I'm going to put 6 to the second power minus 2 times 6 plus 5. Okay. Alright. Now we have them. 6 to the second power is 36. Right? 36. 36 times 1 is 36. Divided by 2 is 18. So 6 second power is 36. 36 times 1 is 36. Divided by 2 is 18. Negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. and bring down the 5. Now 18 minus 12 is 6. 6 plus 5, 6 plus 5 would be 11. Alright, so that means when this is 6, we'll go all the way to 11, which should be somewhere in here. And if I use the line of symmetry, then this would be have a distance of 4, 1. Let me just draw a little quick here. Alright, so here's my line of symmetry, and I'm saying there's a distance of 4, like 1, 2, 3, 4. So my reflection would be 1, 2, 3, 4 to the other side. Alright, so now I got my points, and this will be my graph. Okay, so again, let me repeat this. If you have a fraction, then pick a number that is a multiple of the fraction. So let's say this was a like a 3, then I would pick any numbers that are multiples of 3, like 6, 9. Okay, that way you will be able to get whole numbers as the answer. Okay, alright, very well. This concludes then lesson number 7, and thank you very much for your time, and have a great day. Bye.